This is another edition of Coach's Corner of the Triple Play Fantasy Basketball brand. I'm Coach Lewis, middle school head coach out here in Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm with my co-host, as usual, my fellow head coach, Los Banos High School in California. How you doing, Coach Kev?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. Tournament's coming up, and I get to watch some of these prospects in an actual March Madness tournament, which I'm excited about.
It's nothing quite like March Madness, even though the fans not being there will take a slight hit, but 6 to 12 games a day, depending on where you are in the bracket, is nothing quite like watching nonstop basketball all damn day. So I might have to call out sick one of these days coming soon. This is another edition of NBA Draft Prospect Talk featuring former Mount Verde teammates and projected lottery picks in Moses Moody from Arkansas, 3 seed, and Scottie Barnes, 4 seed, Florida State University. Let's first take a look at Moses Moody. Coach Kevin?
Yeah, looking at Moses, he's 6'6", 205. He's a big guy, big wing. His college stats, he's doing very well at Arkansas. He's got 17.4 points per game, almost 6 rebounds, almost 2 assists. I really like his size, what he does, and he pretty much does it all. So when we're looking at kind of his tape, it's interesting to see what he can be as a wing. I think he's got good moves. He's got a good size. He's one of those tweeners, though. So when we're looking at him, what can he do in the NBA? He's going to be a tweener, so that always kind of worries me a little bit. In this game against South Carolina, you notice they're playing zone, which I like to see what guys can do and how their athletic profile looks. The thing I like about him is that he can go inside and out. He's got pretty good off-the-ball dribble. It's not the most amazing, but I do like his jump shot. So he's a pretty solid shooter from everywhere. So you'll watch him here. He hits a three. He can hit a spot up. He can find a soft spot in the defense. And, again, he can score. I do think that what he does lack, and we'll talk about, is kind of his dribbling ability, kind of his off-ball, his first step, those type of things. But he can score, and so he's going to be one of those slasher guys that I like to see. And he's a pretty solid passer. But you'll see him here. I mean, he's not afraid to shoot it. He can shoot NBA threes, which is good to see. And again, that's why he's averaging 17 points a game down there in Arkansas. And again, you'll notice here, they get him the ball. He's pretty good off the ball. He'll find a spot. He's not afraid to go inside, and he can hit that little step back. And I think that'll separate him a little bit at the next level. He does have some issues, and so he can be a little bit too passive. He does struggle. He's a pretty good defender, but not against quicker guards. So that's where I'm talking about where he's a tweener, because I don't necessarily know. He's probably a 3, but I don't know if he's quick enough to guard some of the best threes in the league. He'll probably be a small 4, but he's going to have to put on some weight. So I like Moody, but there are some deficiencies that we see in here. And I think he's going to go in the lottery. I just don't know where he is at.
What's your projection in comparison, like kind of career trajectory? And do you have a guy that he kind of reminds you of a little bit?
Yeah, this was a little bit tougher for me trying to find a comp for him. I like him. I guess he's a little less athletic Winslow, and I'm just going to go Justice Winslow. I think he's a better shooter than Winslow was, but I think I see that kind of similar profile. If Winslow could be healthy, I think Moody could be kind of that trajectory there.
Yeah, and he has a similar body type. I went with Gary Trent Jr., which is kind of in those tweener. The reason why I kind of went more with him is because of his 3-point potential. Mm-hmm. But in Winslow's a better playmaker, definitely off the dribble. So, but I like that comparison. I could see him as a starting 2 guard. Maybe a smaller 3 because of the way the NBA is. He can defend multiple positions. We've seen him check Jaden Springer from Tennessee, point guard, and then we've seen him guard LSU big man Trendon Watford. Yeah. So his switchability and the way today's game is could bode well for him and could get him as a starting player and or a really, really solid bench guy. So I don't see him falling out the lottery. And I think it's a pretty safe for a pick. Some of these wings from last year in the draft, it's kind of like Neesmith shot 44 from deep, but was that a fluke year? I think because of his pedigree, where he comes from his coaching, playing with Mount Verde at elite academy, maybe one of the greatest high school teams that ever assembled, as Cade Cunningham's going to go 1. And we're going to talk about Scottie Barnes next, who he's going to be for sure lotto, maybe even go as high as 6. So You point out a lot of things that I had and things, weaknesses as well that I had written down. So I said the way Moses parts the Red Sea in transition is impressive. He's got that sturdy upper body similar to Winslow, and he kind of dips into you to try to create room to finish. He's not the greatest finisher in traffic, and I think that is something that he's going to have to figure out on the next level. But he is that ideal 3-and-D prospect. He shoots 36 from deep, but I think that it's going to transition in the league. He gets to the free throw line. He shoots 80% there, and he shoots range on the three.
Yeah.
We were talking about Cade Cunningham kind of being a line shooter, and I don't know if that's going to transition to the NBA. We're hoping that it will, but because he extends out, I think that he's going to be a reliable catch and shoot guy. And then he can slash too. His offensive rebounding skills are impressive. The six a game rebound, 17 clip for Arkansas team that they move the ball around, but he's not like the focal point of that offense. And so for him to sneak out 17 a game is impressive. Like I said, he does get to the free throw line. I think it's like 5-6 times a game. His arms are long. He doesn't get beat much off the dribble, but he plays a smart brand of team and individual basketball. He doesn't wow you athletically, and he's not going to like get in your face, but he plays a disciplined style, and I could see him being a really good role player in this NBA. He can dunk, but he's not a high riser, so his athleticism it could be better. And like I said, I don't see a star here. I just see a role player, but he plays winning brand of basketball, and you got to love that. And it's something that NBA teams should be intrigued of.
Yeah, I think he just needs to work on – when we look at the NBA, it's all dribble drive, right? It's all dribble drive, come off the screens, attack the basket. That's his biggest thing. He's got to work on that because I don't think he's there yet. He's got to develop into that, and he's got to develop into kind of a better ball handler. But I do think that he has a role right now. Catch and shoot threes, play defense. And that is a great role to have when you first come into the NBA, especially if you're going to be a lottery pick. So if he can do that, catch and shoot corners, catch and shoot in the wing, play a little bit of defense, be versatile, I love him as a prospect.
Absolutely, and he seems like he has a good character. He seems mature. He speaks well, and like we said, he plays a smart brand of defensive basketball, and he seems like he meshes around other high-profile players and stars. And so I like my guy Moses Moody.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go from one potential defensive good player in the NBA to somebody that has a high ceiling defensively, and that is the feisty Scottie Barnes from Florida State University. Yeah, he only averages 11 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, but you got to watch him play. He comes off of the bench for Florida State, just like Patrick Williams last year, and he went all the way up as high as 4. He finishes the game. When he comes in, they put him at point guard. He'll guard players full court, and he makes wise decisions with the basketball. He kind of knows who to get the ball to. He's the 9th rated prospect coming out of high school, and he's lived up to expectations. As we see this tape, probing the defense and using that length to finish over defenders. Doesn't have too many great moves, but he plays patient. He makes the right pass, or he finishes over smaller guys, especially when you can put someone 6'9" with a 7'2" wingspan at point guard. He's a matchup nightmare, but he can guard that 1 through 5. I see him a little bit like Ben Simmons defensive potential. I know Ben Simmons is like the greatest our best perimeter defender in the NBA, but a mixture between him and Michael Kidd Gilchrist, both Kevin Boyle proteges. That is what I like. What I don't like is he can't shoot. He can't shoot. He's a little stiff. He doesn't have too many moves. So whether it's going to be I'm Ben Simmons, he doesn't have that vision. He doesn't have that passing ability. Or am I going to be Michael Kidd Gilchrist, who, he's kind of played his way out the league, but he was super impressive coming out, and we all had high hopes for him. I hope it works out for him. When I first noticed Scottie Barnes was his sophomore year. He was playing with NSU and Vernon Carey Jr., who was, I think, the top-rated junior at the time. He averaged 21 and 10, and they finished as runners-up that year. And as a sophomore to play at Geico Nationals, that elite. I mean, he had this big dreads, big personality. He's in your face. He's feisty. He's not backing out from anyone as a sophomore. I was like, I got to watch this kid. I got to see where he goes. And then when he went to Mount Vert and teamed up with Cade Cunningham, it was a wrap. We just saw that team. So 7'2", wingspan is a nightmare. He doesn't have the greatest quickness, but if you beat him even a little bit, he catches up and he gets deflections and he blocks people. So it seems like a Coach Kevin type of player.
Yeah, I mean he's a very he's an interesting prospect because when I first watched his tape and I was watching him, he doesn't pop, right? Like when you're watching him, he doesn't do a lot. He's almost too unselfish. He makes the right call. He makes the right plays, but he almost kind of – I like to see my guys take that ball and want to go score, take him, make that decisions, and he's more passive. And that worries me in the NBA just because you got to be that guy that gets the ball and goes. So the passiveness is what worries me kind of the most. And he's kind of reluctant to take outside shots. He's not a bad outside shooter. But he is reluctant to take those shots.
And it's a slow release as well. It takes a while to get up there.
Yeah, I mean, he is a solid prospect. So he's athletic, and he's kind of like that guy. He's the Renaissance guy of basketball. He can do pretty much everything, but I don't know if he can do anything well enough to be like, oh, yeah, that's his thing.
That's the thing. If his passing is good, his decision-making is good, but if it was better, you could kind of see him as, okay, we can maybe put him at point guard and surround him with shooters, which you might have to do. But is it elite enough to be, a starting point guard in the league, or does he have to go to a different position? Can they make him a playmaking power forward? It's a hard bid on Scottie Barnes. What I do like is his experience playing with NSU, but also with the USA. He's won 3 goals and been playing with them since under 16, and he's always impressive. He's always won. I mean, he's a motor that's unmatched. He has enthusiasm and determination. You just don't see that in young prospects and players.
I have a comp for you because I was looking this up, and again, I know I don't want this show to be Duke Central all the time, but a guy that he kind of reminded me of was Jabari Parker. And kind of because Jabari was never that big of an athlete, but he did some things well. And then he got to the NBA, and we've seen he couldn't defend. Now, I think that he is a better defender. So I think Barnes can be a better defender, and I think he can do it. But he really gives me Jabari Parker vibes, and I don't know if I like that or not. I'm not really sure.
One thing, Jabari could go get his own basket. This kid, I don't see it. And Jabari had that explosiveness. That he was, man, I was almost sure on Jabari that he would turn out in the league, and he doesn't care on defense, and it's plagued him. I mean, he can still score the basketball, but Jabari Parker is kind of a shame because I don't know how you felt, but watching him in high school, I thought this was going to be a bona fide star out of Chicago and Simeon's next great player.
Yeah, I love my boy Jabari. He just can't defend, and he doesn't want to defend, and so that's going to play you well. But again, he's kind of like, if you look at what Scottie is, 6'9", 227, very similar to what Jabari is. I love his range. I love his wingspan.
Yes.
And if you're playing the wingspan game, with like Jay Billis, go ahead and take a drink. But I think his wingspan is good. I think he has that ability. He's a good rebounder. I think but see, the thing that with me is his ceiling is role player. That's his ceiling. And I don't see him being anything more. Whereas Moses – I think Moses can maybe be a little bit more legitimate outside. I don't want to say all-star, but a legitimate player, like a starter, going to not come off the bench. He could lead that. I think Barnes is more of a bench player, come off the bench, give you some hustle minutes, do the little things that we all need from our teams. But Moody, I think, has a higher upside.
And I think Moody has a better floor because I could see Barnes kind of dropping out if everything just doesn't go well. The ceiling part, I might go with Barnes though, just because of his defensive ability, and the league really needs players like that can shut down some of these superstars. And if he can find a role on a team with a bunch of other really good shooters and people with size as well, that might be a really good fit. Who knows? He might develop his passing ability more. I was impressed when he hit the game winner in overtime versus Indiana, but if you looked at it, you were like, man, he played a really good game. Then you check the box score. He had 9 points in that game. Yeah. So he affects winning. Who do you got? If we got Moses Moody versus Scottie Barnes, you're in the lotto. You got picks 6 through 10, 12, maybe they dropped that a little low, but you got a lottery pick outside of we all know the top 5. Who would you take, Moody or Barnes?
Yeah, I mean, this is really tough. I think they're very close. I'm going to take Moody because he can shoot. So because NBA, what they need, I think he's that plug 3 and D guy, and so get him the ball, have him spot up, shoot, and do that. I understand Barnes if he went earlier. I know they're getting mocked pretty close together, but I'm going to take Moody just because of his abilities to shoot the basketball, and I think that he has a higher ceiling. But that's just me personally. That's what I like to see from my players, especially in this version of the NBA. If Barnes is going to get drafted 15 years ago, Barnes would have been the pick because he's more of that 15 years ago old style kind of player.
Yeah. I see exactly what you're saying. I want to be like, it depends on the team that you're drafting because it kind of does. I like Barnes more, but I could see why Moody would be the right pick for a lot of those teams in the late lottery. So I'll take Barnes, but I understand exactly what you're saying, Coach Kev.
Yep.
All right, and I think that's our synopsis on these 2 players. Look forward to Jonathan Kuminga for Zaire Williams coming next. We'd love to break down more prospects as time goes along. We'll see what this tournament turns out. There's always somebody that rises up, and last year we didn't have that advantage to see. Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, give us some comments. We got some comments on our last couple videos, and we appreciate it. That's it for Coach's Corner. I'm Coach Lewis, my co-host, my buddy, Coach Kev.
Hey, let us know what you think.